You want proof that the Democrats are losing their touch? Booyah, right there. The Trump mugshot, the shot heard around the world. They've made this photo the most famous photo probably in the history up to this point. And now the Democrats are upset because it's blowing up in their face. Let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. This is Keith. Welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. So, the mugshot heard around the world is blowing up in the Democrats' face. They did not expect the results that have been happening in the last couple of days, especially with the black community. What am I talking about? This is what I'm talking about.
Which one are you in, though? From Donald Trump. I'm talking about they got everybody.
And they got everybody, like the brother said. Look, that, if you didn't hear it, maybe you didn't hear it properly, but they were screaming free Trump. That has to be some of the scariest words to a Democrat they've ever heard, hearing black people screaming free Trump. And that was just a small crowd. There's a bigger crowd right outside of the jail itself. And that was Trump as he was cruising through District Attorney Fannie Willis's own neighborhood. So that's not a good sign for the Democrat Party. That's a sign that they probably bit off a little more than they could chew by taking a mugshot of Donald Trump during his fourth and hopefully final indictment. I don't understand why they didn't think it was going to backfire, because it's not as if these mugshots hurt these guys their career. Mugshots in the United States, they're not really they're not career ending like I had in my this is my meme. But yeah, it's not a career ender. Come on. Here's Malcolm Little at the time, Malcolm X later on, and finally he was El Haj Malik Shabazz. Here's Frank Sinatra, Martin Luther King, and Johnny Cash. We got websites dedicated to the coolest, most famous mugshots of all time. Mel Gibson, and I forgot the Tool guy right there, Tim Allen, Robert Downey Jr., Matthew McConaughey, Zsa Zsa Gabor, Nick Nolte. Look, we are a country that kind of like admires outlaws and gangsters and stuff like that. So mugshot, it's a career enhancer in many cases. And if anyone can turn it into a career enhancer, it's going to be Trump. It was just a dumb move, an unforced error on the Democrats' part. And it's really hurting Biden even before the mugshot came up. This is in May of this year. Biden sees a 30-point drop in approval from black voters in latest poll. See, the reason being is they were told that Trump was like the most evil person on the planet. I remember when Trump won miraculously, the rumor that had gone out that Trump was going to send black people back to Africa, which I thought was ridiculous that they even put that out there, but just to scare black people back in line. Now, black people weren't sent back to Africa during this term, but they did have the lowest unemployment record on rate on record. We had low gas prices, interest rates on mortgages, like, as low as it can get. Everyone was making money. The economy was doing very well. But they got people so drummed up and it was the news coverage of Trump was like 97% negative. So people voted with their feelings and voted in Biden and voted out Trump. And now everything's turned to ish. The interest rate on mortgages is almost 8%. Unemployment Inflation's horrible. So your money doesn't go as far as it used to, and gas is sky high. So all these terrible things that happen, and black people have finally discovered that Biden's not doing anything for them. His son's on crack while he was locking people up, or Biden and Kamala are so gung ho locking people up, and you got Hunter running around making multi-million-dollar deals, and dude is on crack. If that'd been anyone's child, they'd be in prison. So people see that too. They see the unfairness. And here's another thing. Now, this is the latest news. Trump's brother now. Did Trump's black support just skyrocket overnight? I don't know. The polls aren't out yet, so we're not sure. But the tweets and TikToks or anything, it's going to affect. He might get a bump from the black community. And there are other reasons why than what people think. I think people assume that, since Trump has a mugshot, let's back to the mugshot, he looks real pissed off. That is a pretty, alpha looking shot, though, I gotta admit. But see, here's the deal. I think it's a mistake to assume that black people may be galvanizing behind Trump because of the thug-like allure of that the mugshot gives him, makes him like, keeping it real. I don't think that's the reason. I think that what's going on is, for decades, the Democrat Party has convinced black people that, systemic racism exists. So, and the biggest system there is the federal government. So black people have been taught that the federal government, big authoritarian government, is their enemy. And, black people are disproportionately affected by authoritarian government. And now you have Trump being obviously disproportionately affected. So what the Democrats have done unintentionally is they made Trump a victim. And victim status is the highest status you can have nowadays. So they've actually made Trump a victim of the government. And it's hard to deny. Had they just given Trump maybe one indictment and a couple of charges, it would seem a little more legit. But 4 indictments and 91 charges, and he's facing almost 1,000 years in jail, that's piling it on just a little bit much. So now people are starting to see the hypocrisy. And you can see now how corrupt the government is. It's so bad that I think if a candidate doesn't have a mugshot from now on, you're going to just assume they're part of the system, because they've definitely made Trump look like an outsider for sure. They're throwing everything at home, dude, and doesn't seem to be working. It's ridiculous. It's historic. I've never seen anything like this before. And again, they're making it so black people can kind of relate to someone being piled on like this. The politicians, for the most part, are not trusted. Most people assume most politicians are crooked, and especially the ones in DC. So we almost kind of make the assumption that the longer you're in DC, the more crooked you are. It's just inevitable. Trump's only been in office for 4 years. He was never a DC insider. So people are wondering why. He's getting hit with 91 charges. He's only been in DC for 4 years. And then you have Biden, who's been in DC for 50 years. Nothing. Clean record, just as pure as a driven snow, which no one believes. I mean, we had cocaine in the White House. There's no explanation for why Biden's family is making multi-million-dollar deals with the Russians, the Chinese, the Ukrainians, the Romanians, and they're not even attempting to explain how to get this money. So people see it. It's hard to deny. Biden could keep lying and saying his son isn't selling his family name or anything like that, but no one really believes it. So the piling on of Trump just exposes how crooked the government is, and again, makes him look like the ultimate outsider. And Americans kind of like the underdog. They like the rogue. They like the They like the outlaw. Or again, we're a country that grew, that started off liking the rebel, the outlaw, the mobster, and they're kind of turning Trump into that as well as being the victim. So it's a really bad move. And you don't want to live in a country where a district attorney of any county, of any state can go after the president for actions he did while he was president. That would just cause it, they would just freeze the country up. The president couldn't do anything because while he's in office, he'd have to worry about, okay, if I sign this deal with China or I make a deal with Russia or something like that, what's Fannie going to think? What's Fannie in Fulton County going to do when I'm out of office? So I might have to change my mind or kind of take Fannie's opinion, or a DA like Fannie, who may be out there waiting to get him when he's out of office. He'd have to take that into account too. So you can have millions of voters voting for a president, and then you have some district attorney from nowhere who can influence the president way more than all the voters can do. Can't you see that's freaking ridiculous? And we can't have a system like that. That's why we have impeachment. Impeachment done by Congress is the check and balance for a president that's either corrupt or criminal or something like that. If Congress can't impeach and remove the president, then there's nothing the states or the county can do or should do. Or again, you have just absolute chaos. DA Fannie Willis, I don't think she's very bright. To be 100, I don't think she really knows what she's doing. She's actually trying to make the trial happen in October of this year, which is utterly ridiculous and nakedly partisan. She's trying to influence the 2024 election, just like she's accusing Trump of trying to influence the 2020 election. Oh, the irony. Look, if the president had to worry about what a DA thought while he's in office, then fine. Then let's do this. Let's go after, I don't know, say like President Obama when he murdered a teenager. How about that? Or should we just say he's covered, unfortunately, by the superiority clause, his immunity for what he has done while he was president? Or again, just go after all the presidents for all the horrible things they did while they were in office. Bush, Clinton, Carter, just get them all. If that's what you're going to do, if that's how you're going to play the game. But I think the Democrats, what they're counting on is they're assuming that the Republicans won't do this back to them when they get into power, which eventually they will. Maybe this term coming up or the next, but eventually the Republicans will get into power, and the Democrats are totally convinced that the Republicans would never do to them what they did to the Republicans. That's pretty much a safe bet with the current batch of Republicans. But you never know. Someone like this lady may get into power, real power, like Speaker of the House. Marjorie Taylor Greene is just the chick who would treat the Democrats just like they treated the Republicans. So I wouldn't count on that. I hope this gets overturned. I hope Fannie Willis, her ridiculous case, just gets squashed before it goes any much further. Because again, we can't operate like this as a federal government. It can't. And I'm not a big government guy at all. I wouldn't care if most of it's dismantled, but it can't be weaponized. That's the difference. But that's my opinion. What's yours? Like, share, comment, and subscribe.